I found a bottle of intimate lubricant in Richard's bag. I didn't scream. I didn't throw a fit. I just quietly emptied it and refilled the little pink flask with industrial-strength superglue. At 2 a.m. the brand-new night nurse and my husband were wheeled into the emergency room. It started while Richard was showering in the master bedroom. His phone kept vibrating inside his leather briefcase, rattling me awake only minutes after I'd finally drifted off. I fished it out. A robocall number beginning with 400. I hung up, slid the phone back, but my knuckles brushed something cold and smooth, something the size of a travel-size shampoo. Curiosity 1. I pulled it out. Pink bottle. A manga girl with an exaggerated pout wrapped around it. Every word printed in Japanese. Nothing about it looked wholesome. My stomach lurched. I scanned the label with an image recognition app. The result froze my blood. A warming, extra stimulant lubricant for women, already opened, already used. I saw stars, as if someone had slammed a cast iron skillet into my skull. I was still in confinement. There was zero chance that bottle had anything to do with me. Richard was cheating, had to be. The thought knifed straight through my heart. The shower kept running. My head spun. Hands trembling, I unlocked his screen. Sweetest wife sat at the top of his chats, peppered with bland daily minutiae, so harmless it felt sterilized. TikTok, Reels, Open Table, even his gaming app, nothing suspicious. Maybe a prank? I almost convinced myself, until I noticed a baby tracker app filed inside a folder labeled work. Richard is pathological about organization. A parenting app in his work folder made no sense. I tapped it. The chat history dropped me into an ice bath. March 8th that night I was rushed to the hospital with threatened preterm labor. Richard never left my bedside. Him, 3 months of forced fasting and now the useless cow breaks before I can finally eat. Him, book a room near the hospital. Tonight, can't hold it anymore. Him, skip the fishnet stockings. Bring the naughty nurse costume, hotter. May 20th we shot maternity photos. In front of everyone he proposed again, promising 52 more 520 anniversaries. Him, when she cries her blubber shakes, disgusting. Him, I've got a business trip tomorrow, come stay a few days. Him, I'm dying to wreck you. September 10th I lay in labor while Pitocin dripped into my vein. Richard cried harder than I did, swearing he'd never let me suffer again. Him, everyone says you'll feel like a worn-out sock after birth, but you're still so tight. Him, miss you, send clips, I'm starving. Him, can you slip into the hospital restroom right now? I'm losing my mind. October 6th our wedding anniversary. We posed for family portraits, all smiles, the perfect trio. Him, when you moaned under her nose you sounded so wild. Him, she doesn't suspect a thing, just keeps cradling the baby and grinning like an idiot. The latest line glowed at the bottom, let's get extra kinky tonight. Bile surged into my throat. I clenched my jaw to keep from vomiting right there on the duvet. Those obscene sentences had come from Richard, my earnest, dutiful Richard. The same man who came home on the dot, handed over every paycheck, cooked every meal while I was pregnant, massaged my swollen calves nightly, and smiled while hand-washing my underwear. He'd sit outside the prenatal ward so anxious he couldn't sleep, sob louder than any new dad outside the delivery room, and still wake for every 3 a.m. feeding so I could rest. My bestie used to joke you'd need a searchlight to find a man half that devoted. Yet here was the truth, slapping me awake. Richard had been cheating since my first trimester. I wiped my eyes, inhaled until my lungs burned. Crying fixes nothing. I photographed every last message, then poured the lubricant down the sink and pipetted industrial-strength superglue into the pink bottle. I didn't know who the woman was, but tonight the spotlight would find her. I'd just tucked the booby-trapped flask back into its pocket when the bathroom door opened. Richard stepped out, towel drying his hair. He paused when he saw me sitting upright. Sweetheart, it's late, why aren't you sleeping? Same velvet voice. Tears spilled before I could stop them, reflex, not performance. Panic flashed across his face, he rushed over, kneeling at the mattress. What's wrong? Bad dream? You can't cry during confinement or you'll wreck your health. Gentle hands, perfect concern. Had I not read the logs, I'd have bought every second of it. Love really can be method acted. I stared, voice quivering. I dreamed you cheated on me. He blinked, then chuckled, folding me into his chest. Dreams invert reality. You should have dreamed I died instead. I dug my nails into my palms and forced a playful tone. Hubby, I'm fat and hideous now. Do you still love me? He framed my face, eyes shining, and kissed my forehead like a pilgrim before a relic. You'll always be the most beautiful woman in the world. Took me 10 years to win you. How could I stop loving you? 10 years. He once gave me a kidney. I would sooner believe pigs could bungee jump than believe Richard capable of betrayal, until tonight. Those chat logs are splinters under my skin. I met his gaze and spoke every word distinct as a vow. If you ever cheat, will you die for me? A flicker crossed his face, gone so fast I almost missed it. Calm returned like a well-rehearsed mask. I'd die before I cheated. I finally smiled. Richard, you said it yourself. Anyone who tramples a sincere heart deserves to die. Richard smiled too. He reached over and ruffled my hair, tone light and playful. That's my girl. My wife's smile is the prettiest thing in the world. He brought me a cup of warm milk and pressed it into my hands. Drink up, sweetheart. It'll help you sleep. I took the cup and sipped. A second later I set it down, forehead creased. Babe. I think little treasure is crying. Could you check? He didn't suspect a thing, just turned and walked out. I whisked the milk to the sink and watched the white spiral down the drain, a cold smirk on my lips. So that's why I'd been sleeping straight through till morning. When he came back his gaze flicked to the empty cup, and something like excitement glinted in his eyes. He settled beside me, patted my shoulder gently. Little treasure sound asleep, don't worry. I nodded, faked a yawn, let my eyelids droop. Good. I'm beat. Lights out? He smiled, clicked off the bedside lamp, and darkness swallowed the room. I shut my eyes, breathing slow and even, the picture of slumber. Middle of the night. Richard tapped my cheek, testing. Babe? Babe? I kept my eyes closed, gave a soft snore. He waited a long moment, making sure I was out. Then he slid from the bed, careful not to wake me. Once he was gone I opened my eyes and checked the time, 1 a.m. Pretty dedicated, meeting his mistress at this hour. I grabbed my phone, eased out of bed, and followed. Almost there. Evidence is almost mine. But the surprise came fast. He didn't head for the front door, he turned into the nursery. My heart lurched. Had my little probe forced a change of plan? The next second showed me Richard was worse than I'd dreamed. I didn't think you'd risk coming tonight. Aren't you scared she'll find out? A woman's voice floated from the nursery. My heart slammed shut, breathing hurt. That was Luna, the night nurse Richard had hired for me. She usually wore plain clothes, hair in a frumpy ponytail, face bare. Close to my age, always proper, staying in her room when she wasn't caring for little treasure or me. I'd never suspected her. The rustle of clothes snapped me back. Richard sounded starving. She's out cold. Quick, let me touch you. I'm dying here. Luna's unease leaked through. I thought I heard her ask what you'd do if she caught you cheating. Has she guessed? Richard didn't care. Relax. She trusts me. I sneak to your bed every night and she just feels sorry I work so hard. You're awful. Her voice softened into a moan. And you love it. Their words were a dull blade, slicing again and again. It hurt. They dared, under our roof, beside our child. I wanted to charge in and stab them both. Reason held me back. Are we really trying that tonight? I'm scared. Don't worry, I oiled you. No pain. But, Richard snapped. I'm not disgusted you've slept with half the city. Indulge me or I'll replace you. Oh okay. I can do it. Luna gave in, writhing to please him. Good girl, relax, I'll lube you up. He was eager. She obeyed, lying flat. Richard emptied the whole bottle of intimate lubricant inside her. It burns. She cried out. Endure it, this is the extra sting kind. Here I come. He was euphoric as he climbed on. Then a sharp shriek ripped through the house. Arg. Richard, what did you smear on me? We're stuck. Luna thrashed, trying to pull free, too late. The industrial-strength superglue had set. Richard panicked, clapping a hand over her mouth. Quiet, do you want the neighbors to know? I'm glued too. Fix this. She was sobbing now. Trying, hot water. It's scalding. They struggled for half an hour, finally called 911. Paramedics carried them out on one stretcher, fused at the hips. I stood on the terrace until the ambulance vanished, then went back to the nursery. Little treasure slept peacefully in his bassinet, unaware. I stroked his cheek and vowed, don't worry, darling. Mommy will keep you safe. My gaze fell on the pink bottle on the bed. Good. They'd used every drop. They limped home the following evening, one squeezing his thighs, the other clenching her butt, shuffling inside like mismatched puppets. I pressed my nails into my palms to keep from laughing. Where on earth have you two been? I widened my eyes, glancing from one to the other. Richard's gaze slid away. Emergency at the office. Ran it. Oh, Luna downstairs on the way in. His voice floated, paper thin. I turned to her. You disappeared all day, Luna. I was worried. Pale as chalk, she stammered, Sophia, I. Richard jumped in. She had family trouble. She cleared it with me. I forgot to tell you. Luna nodded frantically. I'll go take care of the baby. I waved her off. Breezy, relax. My parents are borrowing little treasure for a few days. Consider yourself on vacation. She blinked, then murmured, I'll start dinner then. Sure, go ahead, I said evenly. She shot Richard a look of pure misery, but he had problems of his own. She shuffled toward the chef's kitchen, each step torment. Honestly, I almost pitied her. Working like a draft horse all day, playing rooster all night. She still had to cook for me, while on the clock with a work injury. Truly pitiful. From the chef's kitchen came the clatter of pots and pans. Luna's movements were obviously much slower than usual. Richard bit his lower lip hard and, steadying himself on the edge of the sofa, lowered himself down little by little. The pain on his face was about to spill over, yet he forced himself not to make a sound. I pretended not to notice anything unusual. I walked over, looped my arms affectionately around his neck, and plopped onto his lap. I even rocked back and forth on purpose, acting coquettish. Honey, with the baby away, we can finally enjoy some alone time, just the two of us. Richard's body went rigid, his complexion looked awful. His fingers clawed the sofa's edge until the knuckles blanched. I kept grinding in little circles. At last Richard couldn't take it. He shoved me away with one violent push, so hard he startled even himself. I staggered, almost crashing to the floor. A flicker of panic crossed his face. Sweetheart. I didn't mean to. Once I steadied myself, I let my eyes drift casually to his trousers. A dark patch stained the fabric. Blood must have seeped through again. Concern filled my voice. Honey, Hat's wrong? Are you in pain somewhere? Let me see. I reached to tug his pants down. Richard recoiled as if scalded, jerking back so sharply he yanked the wound once more. The pain made him bare his teeth. A tremor threaded the words he hissed through clenched jaws. It's nothing. Sudden urge to pee. He pressed both hands over his crotch, thighs clamped tight, and inched toward the master bath one wincing step at a time. Leaning back on the sofa, I watched his pitiful retreat, feeling wonderful. Earlier, while the two of them were out, I'd hidden a camera in every corner of the house. No blind spots, every square inch would be recorded, master bath included. On the monitor Richard carefully peeled the gauze away, revealing a mangled, bloody gash. He fished a tube of antiseptic cream from his pocket and, fingers shaking, dabbed it on bit by bit. The moment the ointment touched raw flesh he sucked air through his teeth, yet clamped his jaw so no cry escaped. Watching, I felt a surge of glee. Who knew industrial-strength superglue could do this much damage? I couldn't help wondering how Luna was faring. Her injured area was larger, she had to be in worse agony. Nearly half an hour passed before Richard limped out. His legs quivered with every step. I glanced up, my tone syrupy with concern. Honey, you're really okay? He forced a thin smile, voice weak. Really, I'm fine. I smiled back. Good, let's eat. I prepared a feast just for you two. At the dining table Richard froze. He stared at the platters of spicy crawfish boil, garlic butter scallops, chili garlic crab, and stammered, Sweetheart, why so much seafood? Still beaming, I pressed each of them into a chair. You've both worked so hard looking after me. I wanted to show my appreciation. I dropped a fat crawfish into each of their bowls. Come on, eat up, don't be shy. Luna's face turned the same sickly shade, head down. She clutched her chopstick so hard her fingers trembled, unable to take a bite. Richard's hands shook as he peeled a shell. Fine beads of sweat dotted his forehead. I sat to one side, casual as could be. Yesterday our complex had the juiciest gossip. A man and woman got so carried away they literally stuck together and had to be carted off to the ER. They say the couple lives right in this building. How mortifying. Wonder if doctors managed to pry them apart. Richard's hand jerked. The crawfish slipped onto the tablecloth. I pretended not to notice and went on. Honey, any idea who they might be? His gaze darted everywhere, his voice cracked. How would I know? Oh? Why aren't you eating? Feeling under the weather? Cornered by guilt, they could only force stiff smiles and swallow the fiery mouthfuls. Me? I tucked into my postpartum meal, happier than I'd been in weeks. For the next several days I rotated takeout orders, boba cake milk, fried chicken combos, more seafood banquets, Sichuan Hunan spreads. Each meal left them greener than the last. Richard's waddle grew wider, thighs welded shut. Luna couldn't sit at all. On the third night she finally cracked. It was past midnight, in the nursery. She stood by the bed, voice low but sharp. Richard, I can't take it anymore, I quit. Wire me $1 million, right now, to my personal account. Richard frowned. Are you insane? Why should I give you that kind of money? Luna laughed coldly. The doctor says the rectal nerve damage is permanent. Suddenly she yanked down her pants and exposed the wound. Under the lamp the flesh was ulcerated, oozing pus, an alarming sight. If this keeps rotting I'll end up with a colostomy bag. $1 million to walk away, is that excessive? Her voice climbed, almost hysterical. Or should I tell your dear wife everything? Richard glared, grinding his teeth. You're threatening me? It's not a threat, it's a deal. Pay me, I disappear, everyone's happy. Otherwise, she didn't finish, but the meaning hung heavy. The room sank into dead silence. His fists clenched, unclenched. Finally he caved. Fine, I'll get the money. But $1 million isn't pocket change. Everything's under Sophia's name. I need time to move funds around. He tried to stall, a plea in his tone. Leave first, I'll transfer it in a few days. Luna sneered, she wasn't buying it. She whipped out a ready-made IOU and slapped it in front of him. Promises don't cut it, sign this. Richard scanned the paper, his face darkened further. What? 1% daily penalty for overdue payment? This isn't a loan shark, it's highway robbery. I'll go find Sophia right now and I'll sign. The words tore out of his throat. I watched his trembling hand scratch his name across the bottom and felt my lips curl. Want the money? Dream on. I slipped back to the bedroom and splintered every cent in our account. One chunk into locked-in CDs, another chunk into the college fund I'd opened in the baby's name. Early next morning Luna packed in haste, moving on tiptoe as though afraid to wake the house. Dragging her suitcase to the door, she found me sauntering out of the bedroom. Luna, heading somewhere so early? She kept her head low, voice faltering. Sophia, there's a family emergency. I quit. I nodded without pressing and tapped my phone, sending her this month's wages. Here's your pay, travel safe. Her fingers quivered, she looked like she wanted to say more, but in the end she mumbled thanks and hurried out. I'm fair, I never dock wages, but every debt is tallied to the last cent. Back inside, Richard was still sprawled on the bed, unconscious. His wound looked worse than ever. The air was thick with the stench of rot. Over the past few days he'd been rubbing on antiseptic cream far more often. I could even hear his stifled groans coming from the master bath in the middle of the night. I walked in. I took the capsaicin extract I'd readied long ago and injected it straight into the tube of antiseptic cream. Time to show some real skill. I put the tube back exactly where it had been, returned to bed in high spirits, and lay there quietly waiting for the curtain to rise. It didn't take long before Richard woke up. He shuffled into the master bath with heavy steps, dropped his pants the way he always did, and got ready to tend the wound. The sore had already begun to fester. Blackened, necrotic tissue ringed the edges. Clenching his teeth, he dabbed at it with a cotton swab soaked in antiseptic, cold sweat beading on his forehead. TSK. How did it get this bad? I couldn't help marveling, Richard could really take pain. He had gritted his way through the last few days, you had to hand it to him. He squeezed out a fat glob of the cream and smeared it over the wound. The next second his body went rigid. Then came a scream that tore right through him. Arg! I pushed the door open, every feature knit in alarm. Richard, what's wrong? His face twisted until it was almost unrecognizable, veins bulging at his temples. He raked at the ulcerated skin with his fingernails, blood dripping all over the floor. Quick! Get me to the hospital. It came out as a roar. I played panicked. What happened? Richard, how did your hemorrhoid crawl to the front? He had no strength to answer. He just kept scratching, trying to ease the agony, until the pain knocked him cold. Only then did I leisurely pull out my phone and call 911. Outside the trauma bay the doctor's face was grave. The tissue is necrotic and a secondary infection has set in. We have two options. Conservative treatment, but the infection could spread and become life-threatening, or radical excision to remove all dead flesh. I didn't hesitate. Cut it off. The doctor clearly hadn't expected such swift assent. You don't want to think it over? It is a rather important part. My expression stayed firm as I took the consent form and scratched my name across it with a flourish. When Richard opened his eyes again it was the morning after surgery, the anesthetic fading by slow degrees. His gaze wandered unfocused until it found me standing by the bed. Sophia. I tossed the divorce decree onto the bedside table. Richard, let's end this. The baby, the assets, they're mine. He blinked, panic flashing across his eyes, then forced a brittle smile. Sweetheart, what are you saying? Everything's fine, why divorce? I glanced at the sheet draped over his hips and sneered. So those two lovebirds glued together in the lobby security footage were you and my night nurse. Impressive, cheating on me with the woman I hired to help me heal. His face drained of color, his lips trembled as he stammered, "Honey, let me explain. She seduced me, I swear, just once." I lost my head for a second. He clutched the hem of my coat, voice cracking. "I know I was wrong. It was the kind of mistake any man might make. Please, give me one more chance." I jerked free. "Sign. Don't make this uglier than it has to be." Tears rolled down his cheeks. He gazed at me with counterfeit devotion, hoarse with sobs. "Sophia, I love you. I can't live without you. You're my life." When I still said nothing, he lunged for the papers like a madman and shredded them to snowy scraps over the blanket, eyes bloodshot. "I won't divorce. I'd rather die." He grabbed for my arm, I sidestepped. "Little Grant is so tiny. Do you have the heart to leave him fatherless?" "I swear I'll never." "Oh, I believe that." I cut him off and pressed his raised right hand back down. Hope flickered across his face, until my next sentence crushed it. "After all, the tool you committed the crime with has been confiscated." Only then did it seem to hit him. He yanked the sheet aside, stared at what lay beneath, eyes racing from blank disbelief to horror to utter despair, and let out a roar that shredded his throat. "No. This can't be real. What did you do to me?" His gaze went hollow, as though every last dream had collapsed. I spoke quite calmly. "Medical complications, ask any doctor." But I did sign that consent form rather cheerfully. "Sophia," he thrashed, trying to claw his way off the mattress to seize me, but an 4-line tripped him and he crashed back like a fish on deck. I pulled a fresh copy of the decree from my purse and slapped it across his face. The bold line, "All marital property awarded to the wife," landed square over his eyes like a final insult. "In your dreams." Mad crimson bled into his stare. "As long as I refuse, you can't divorce me. Even if we did split, no job, no income. Tell me, who would a judge hand little Grant to?" When I stayed silent, he began to giggle, a sick triumph in the sound. "Sweetheart, you just gave birth, flabby and frumpy. No one but me would ever want you. Wire $1 million right now and she'll disappear forever. We can start over." Afraid I still wasn't furious enough, he tacked on, "Of course, from now on the house bows to me, no more of your opinions." I laughed, an anger laugh. Richard, afraid I wasn't livid yet, served up one more helping. I lifted the electric kettle from the side table, flipped the lid, and poured the full measure of scalding water squarely onto the ravaged flesh between his thighs. "Oops, slippery hands," I murmured, as if it had been a simple accident. He convulsed, face purple, unable even to shriek. At last the world was quiet. Richard was right. Without his consent a clean divorce would be a labyrinth, and he would fight me for custody every step. Fine, I'd changed my mind. Widowhood might be simpler, and certainly more final. I uploaded the hidden cam video of Richard and Luna, glued together in their own juices, to the internet. Inside half an hour the share count blasted past 10,000, rocketing to the top of the Riverdale trending tabloid. Richard was socially executed overnight. Netizens doxed every detail of his life, every text, every debt. Old classmates crawled from the woodwork to curse him. The company fired him for tarnishing corporate image. Now he and I had something in common: neither of us had a job. At the same time his private ward became the hospital's latest viral selfie spot. Patients and relatives detoured just to gawk through the glass. Some stormed in to spit on him. Between the public shaming and the searing pain, Richard's mind began to fray. He smashed anything he could lift and screamed day and night until nurses dreaded walking past his door. The hospital, left with no choice, moved him to a remote isolation suite so his ravings wouldn't disturb the other patients. While he was gone, I slipped in and hid a tiny camera in the room, the lens fixed on his bed. Whenever I had a spare minute, I opened the app and watched him thrash and howl. Every clip made me laugh until my sides hurt. From Richard's wire transfer history, I realized I wasn't the only victim. Behind the polished facade lurked a sprawling underground sex ring. I began to dig, quietly, inside the new mom group chats. Within days I had found several sisters with eerily similar stories. Some had already sensed their husband's late-night restlessness but lacked proof. Most, like me, had drunk the helpful warm milk laced with sleeping drops, smiled, and thanked their thoughtful husbands before drifting into dreamless black. The deeper we looked, the clearer it became that Luna's night nurse agency was anything but wholesome. It advertised itself as Riverdale's premier postpartum retreat, yet its real target market was new dads. They ran a grooming curriculum. Rookies learned how to play dumb first: frumpy ponytail, oversized scrubs, shoes scuffing the floor, the perfect costume of the harmless frump. On the job, they deliberately avoided the fathers, acting timid and tongue-tied, which made the new moms drop their guard. Who would guess that under the drab uniform waited lace lingerie? That flicker of forbidden fruit, flaunted right under the wife's nose, was impossible for plenty of new dads to resist. They paid top dollar for the thrill. Night nurses like Luna commanded premium salaries and collected hefty after-hours tips on the side. To keep more women from falling into the trap, we bundled every shred of evidence and walked it into the precinct. The police launched a surprise raid within hours, padlocking the agency and cuffing a row of employees. Only Luna slipped the net. The next time I saw her, she was on my phone screen, grainy footage from Richard's isolation suite. A surgical mask swallowed half her face, only her eyes showed. Behind her loomed 3 hulking men, necks like bridge cables, faces carved from flint. Richard lay limp, eyes sunken. When Luna peeled the mask off, his pupils flared with pure hate. "Lowlife, this is all on you," he croaked. "If you hadn't seduced me, I'd still have everything." Luna snorted, ice cold. "Did I yank your zipper down? Keep it in your pants next time." He fumbled for the call button. Before his fingers touched it, one goon twisted his arm up his back. "Easy, easy, let's talk." Richard whimpered, sweat blooming across his forehead. "When do I get my money?" Luna demanded. "I'm flat broke, Sophia took it all. She's the one who swapped the intimate lubricant for industrial-strength superglue. Go after her." With disaster breathing down his neck, Richard shoved me forward without a second thought, hoping to feed Luna his wife instead of his cash. Luna crouched, fisted his gown, and yanked him nose to nose. "Think I'm stupid? No cash, no heartbeat. I really don't have it, but I can lure Sophia here. You can shake her down." His face twisted, vicious. He hated me, loud and clear. Minutes later my phone rang. "Richard." He fought to keep his voice level. "Wife. I'll sign the divorce decree. Come to the hospital now." "On my way," I answered, flat. I hung up and watched the monitor. Richard beamed at Luna. "Sophia's coming." She spat in his face, disgusted. "You're revolting. Selling out your own wife that fast?" He bared his teeth. "She ruined me first. Why should I protect her?" 30 minutes later Luna lost patience. She cracked her palm across his cheek. "Where is she? Are you two stalling me?" Blood dotted his lip. "Traffic. I'll call again." The second call came, frantic. "Wife, where are you?" I dropped my voice, breathless. "Honey, the detectives just told me they've tracked Luna. She may know you tipped them, she could be heading your way. Stall her, keep her there, don't let her bolt." "Stop talking CRA." Luna ripped the phone away and hurled it to the tiles. Shards skittered everywhere. "Richard, you're why I'm wanted." He tried to scramble off the bed. A bodyguard shoved him back, mattress springs shrieking. "Sophia's lying. I never called the cops, MMPH." A sock stuffed his mouth. Luna snapped her fingers. "Work him." The fists fell like hail. He curled into a ball, twitching, eyes bulging, no breath left for screaming, only muffled groans. "Harder, what, skipping breakfast?" Luna taunted, savoring every second. They punched until his limbs flopped like a puppet with cut strings and his eyes rolled white. "Enough." Luna raised a hand. She leaned in, voice dripping revulsion. "I loathe cheaters most of all." She turned to leave, and walked straight into the detective's cuffs. Richard was rushed to the trauma bay again. This time the doctors couldn't bring him back. Luna's story ended there too: manslaughter, prostitution, a stack of counts, sentence after sentence, the gavel falling like thunder. I stood on the courthouse steps, tilted my face to the dazzling sun, and knew the road stretched long ahead. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.